Okay, let's continue. I don't wanna know everything. Oh, Ashton. Okay. Well, I'll continue a little bit longer because, but I was probably like, that was probably the last video for you guys, but I'll probably cut it there. I don't know. Probably did. So this is Ashton. We're playing as Ashton. He's 29 years old. He's 164 centimeters. He's a detective. He's American Japanese. He's Christian, but he's not practicing any. Bachelor degree in forensic science. Freaking hiccup. Okay. Excuse me. He likes taiyaki, ice cream, Shirley, Ophelia, old-timey action movies and thrillers, kart racing, jazz and swing, Sherlock Holmes, justice. Great. Okay, so Ashton's profile. There was little love between his parents, and though he grew up privileged, he found little joy in student life. He saw the standard testing system as a chore and considered his popularity among his peers to be an annoyance. Rebecca was the only one he considered a friend and sent to karate, and he was no better when he went into university. If anything, his indifferent outlook got worse with his parents' divorce. He initially took law, but was quickly disillusioned by how heavy-handed and abused the system was. Forensic science, on the other hand, became fascinating for him. He served a brief time as a police officer before he applied to join Luxembourg's criminal investigation department. Early on, he was too eager to deal out with justice, but his numerous years in service became quite a learning experience for him. Now, as a detective inspector, he's been assigned to his biggest case yet. And I don't really know anything about his case. We don't know anything about his case. Maybe if I don't know. Well, so, oh wait, which day was it today? I missed it, I don't know, but parties have never really been my thing. They're always such a hassle and takes so much time off my day, prior plans and commitments cancelled, all for the sake of playing along with others.
Welcome everyone!
Okay, yes, it is this Friday. Great. I hated them even as a child.
Please, make yourselves at home!
But Mom often insisted she'd slick my hair up, put me in on one of those stuffy dinner jackets, and if there were any children around, urged me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud or tedious it was. It was all for the sake of keeping up appearances. To some extent, lies had already surrounded me long before I'd chosen what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily, there were easy ways to tune everything out, and much to my mom's frustration, I always managed to sneak my CD player along. Nice. I kept to myself and to my music, had my own little world, until I learned to observe. It's a simple master of awareness, really. And for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of wrist alone could tell volumes about a person. I still don't like parties, especially ones as big and fancy as the Rice housewarming. However, when there's actual reason to go to them, I figure they're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here on a mission. One that has the name Luke Wright plastered all over it. Right, it's... well, we'll see what he's up to. It's that confidential work he's doing, definitely. I think the man will want to remain inconspicuous after his name was linked to several high-profile crimes across Luxembourg. Granted, most of it have gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but that still doesn't make him any less of a suspect. Yet here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard. Although, having observed the man this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it. The damn spotlight. Constantly yearns for attention like a neglected puppy. It doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's nowhere to be found in his own party, because he wants to be fashionably late so he can get all the attention. But that's not the problem here. The what pisses me off is how far his reach extends. How close he has creeping into the lives of the people I care about. I'm really sorry about that, dude. I've just ruined everything. Again, like a stubborn-ish itch you couldn't be rid of. First, Professor Clark. Then there's Isabella. I also spotted Seaman here a while ago, and now there's also Rebecca. Apparently.
Ashton?
Becca, what are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
That explains things, and makes this difficult all the same. As if getting a As if getting a contact among the staff to sneak a name into the guest list isn't hard enough. The guy almost ditched me last night and might have placed another setback on my investigation if it wasn't for my generous tip. Then here comes Rebecca, another person to mind.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
A necessary lie? I can't bring my own friends into this any further than what they've done on some of it. Because if Luke Wright so much as harms a hair on either Sachs or Rebecca's heads, there will be hell to pay. Worrying about Isabella's brief dealings with him is stressing in itself already. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of the other people, though. It would tarnish his... So, what if he really was the murderer? He might just be the murderer, guys. Great. Great, just great. It would tarnish his glorious reputation, and he values appearances more than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he is incapable of it, more than in fact. And on the off chance he does something, I wouldn't be responsible for my actions.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Oh, well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
For Sachs and Rebecca's sakes, however, I really hope this will simply be another housewarming, even though something tells me it's anything but that. Call it a detective's intuition or whatever. When Luke Wright's involved, nothing good has ever come out of it. I can't let my guard down here. Even more so when a familiar car slows to a stop and out comes...
Chief?
Love his eyes. My presence here might be odd at best, but I have an excuse. One that this man handed to me and... Wait, what? He is his chief? That's the dude that was like... Wait a second, isn't his wife the one who's pregnant and accused Luke to... It is, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is. That's his chief? Huh. Interesting. My presence here might be odd at best, but I have an excuse. One that this man handed to me himself a year ago, along with a heavy dose of flattery for a newly promoted detective inspector. Can't exactly say the same for my good old boss, can I? Although to see him here, shouting it out with Luxborn's rich and famous isn't such a big surprise in itself. No disrespect meant, but the guy is obviously a social climber. What is surprising is the fact that he seems all too eager to mingle with a person of interest's wife. Just what the hell is he doing here?
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
What the shit is going on here?
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya.
Hey, be careful! About what
Sorry. I don't want to draw attention to myself either, at least not until he's given me proper reason to split his little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee.
Oh jeez, this is so horrible and I still don't know. We still don't know whether he actually did cheat or not, but he's not a good person, that we know for sure.
The doctors again?
For now, the best I can do is wait and remaining inconspicuous, especially with Schiffer, whose motives are dubious at best. If it means having to pretend I don't know second Rebecca or forcing myself to rub elbows with people I barely know, let alone like, then so be it. I can't involve anyone. Wandering is out of the question as well. When there are guards in cities stationed here and there, sure, getting past them is something I could do with ease, but I'd rather not right now, when I'm one of the few snooping and roaming about. It'd be best to try and do so once there's a crowd of people. And if their interior designers' drunken claims are to be believed, right?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
It'll all come down to how we'll play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this party is going to give me the breakthrough I need to crack Luke right, or something to prove my suspicions wrong. Maybe find out what kind of game my boss is also playing. I've had an inkling before, if you hunch. What if... So that, I guess that could also be like the thing, like his boss just wants you to like take down Luke because he likes his wife. That's a bit absurd, isn't it? But he does, like, he is like really creepy towards her. I mean, that's what I thought when I was playing as Hana. It was just it was just too much, you know. I've had an inkling before, if you hunch his temper down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appears. One does not simply deal with the prize and get invited to party they host without wanting anything from either of the two. Or it's the other way around. So, with a last weary glance at the two, I head into the ballroom. I just hope this will not complicate things further. Shit. By the time the party's in full swing, night has fallen, yet there still isn't a Luke right in sight. The man can be quiet, ostentatious, but this, frankly, I'm impressed. I don't even know how many hours de voix I've already stuffed my face with. One too many, probably. The servers are already giving me a stink eye. The servers are already giving me a stink eye every time I saunter over the buffet table. Blame your employer, not me. He's the one who has the guts to show up late. Besides, most of the guests' idle talk is concentrated in this area. Despite standing in the same roof with the very people they're whispering about, some just couldn't resist. I might as well keep an ear out for any useful information.
Is Suarez still fixing that tech problem? Tech problem?
It's been 3 years. Sooner or later, the Blighter will put 2 and 2 together.
He might have already.
If the red tape I'm being slammed with these past few months suggests anything, that or someone has been pulling the strings. I wouldn't be shocked. This case would not have gone this long if Scumbag didn't have a mule of some kind of force.
Shush you, we all know Suarez just wants an out.
I knew he was bad news the day the merger with Evans Incorporated happened.
Feh. Glad I did not have to deal with that. But keep it down, someone might hear. The wife especially.
This kind of negligence. This has always been an advantage, but sometimes I wish I could have been smash drunk while doing this. You might forget some of the stuff though, so you probably shouldn't, but I see your point. Having sharp ears also means you get to hear the most unsavory things. Who cheated on who this week, one person's motive for bashing someone's skull against a wall, or a father's excuse for burning his own daughter alive. Oh, great. Those sort of stuff. After a few years, it gets tiring. You get desensitized to it. But humans could also be downright awful. Sometimes there simply isn't enough brain bleach in the world. Sadly, the wine is a no-go tonight and mostly for show. I'm up for another drive later for one, and I definitely want to be sober in case anything comes up. And something always comes up in assignments like this. A detective inspector dying of cardiac arrest, for example. Because I can feel the moment my heart grinds to a halt the second I shift my eyes to a corner of the ballroom.
Hana right.
Some will say I'm acting it a touch bit paranoid, and maybe I am. This party, and she's the hostess. It goes to say that she'd take time to mingle with her guests. But Hannah White, nay Evans, isn't without her fair share of the collays. At least to public, she doesn't seem like it. Unlike her husband, she's the one with the business sense, not to mention the impressive track record needed to manage a company, or effectively hide whatever irregularity there might be. She's clean, as far as my agents and I have found, but it doesn't rule out a possible involvement with whatever her husband's up to. Hell, Luke Wright came out clean in previous reports until I bothered to take a deeper look into it. What I found may not be sufficient to bring anyone to trial yet, but it's enough to nurture suspicion. This may be a bit of an overreaction, but no one lasts long in my line of work by being careless.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Nothing to be worried about then. She's probably even more careful with appearances than her own husband, having grown up with the spotlight focused on her. Yet, even knowing that, the anxiety stays. Has been here since the party started. I brushed it off earlier. Who wouldn't feel edgy, right? I got undercover in a party hosted by the very person I'm investigating. That in itself is risky, and there's plenty of rooms for error. Usually, though, the tension passes around the first half hour or so, and I'm trained to remain composed in situations like this. However, with each second I spend here, it only grows heavier and seeks to overwhelm. Oh, here we go. So he gets haunted too. Great. An odd feeling that someone is watching me instead. It has been like this since last week, but I should already be used to this. I knew it would be kind of like this. I mean, yeah. But he hasn't seen the ghost then. Maybe that's the way to, like, handle it. People will be looking at me no matter how small or big of a blip I am on their radar. That's what they do in these things. But when the feeling of ice burning into my back lingers longer than necessary, I've been looking around every now and then to catch the culprit. No luck. And despite my efforts to push the sensation as far down as I could, tiny pinpricks continue to sting the back of my head, and the ghost of a cold touch creeps up my limbs, until my gaze switches back to Rebecca and Hannah White. Oh, so he does see. Okay, so this is. Oh, great. Okay, alright. She stands there, dark-haired and dirty, sticking out like a sore thumb. Even so, no one seems to notice. Although she's looking away from me, her mere existence here strikes. Disturbs. A sense of tunnel vision blinds while I stand still and gape at her, like my life depends on making sure she stays where she is. I feel trapped in her presence. Until another guest bumps into me, yanking me out of my stupor. Only then do I realize that I have been holding my breath. Before I could figure out what happened, she's gone. A quick scan of the room yields no sign of her. The party continues as if nothing's amiss. I'm not really one to judge, but I'm sure someone like that would not have been allowed in a fancy thing like this. What's the security been doing? Are they really that incompetent? Of course he. Oh, jeez. Ah, you're so cute, Ashton. You're so cute. Are they really that incompetent for someone so distinct to easily get in without notice? There should have been an outcry by now, particularly from the host. She's been standing almost an arm length away from the woman, yet she simply continues our talk with Rebecca, like she's insane.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Is there something in the food then that I'm starting to see things? It couldn't have been the wine though. I'm every bit as sober as when I first stepped out of my car. Or is the horror? But why would anyone want to do that? Why would Luke Wright want to do that? It's fishy, but I couldn't see why I'd ever think it'd be a good idea to lace the food he'd serve in this party with someone like Chief Lee on his guest list to boot. He has been linked to narcotics trade, yeah. However, that kind of tactic is below him. That much I could tell. Unless there's a mass murder waiting to happen here tonight, which I highly doubt. So...
What the fuck was that?
But there's no time to look deeper into this, even if I want to. Not when it's... Great. Now when a telling silence comes upon the room and draws everybody's attention to the main doors of the ballroom.
About damn time.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party?
I'm so going to enjoy his comment about, well, this scene.
I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
I've been tailing this guy for a while now. Before that, I heard stories from previous officers who tackled this case, none of which are pleasant. Mind, I'm not counting the incident with Professor Clark, yet pleasant is glossing over the gravity of it. While Wright's good at covering whatever shady stuff he's doing, he's shown to be a really rotten guy. At least that's the case when he thinks none of his peers are around to judge him. I've lost track of how many counts of verbal abuse and harassment cases a guy could be pinned with. Standing in the same room as him doesn't make me want to punch him any less. Actually, the urge is stronger. But protocols, my case first and foremost. My own opinion of the man shouldn't get ahead of my purpose here. If I want to put him in this place, it should be in court, with all proper charges filled against him. And I'll only be able to do that once I gather enough evidence to pin this bastard down.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are all ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen. If you would excuse my presumptuousness.
Oh, you're so funny.
So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses, as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
Suppressing my annoyance, I prepare to step away from the crowd. Amidst the cheers and claps, now is as good a time as any to move. Try to find that something the McCullough woman talked about. In the first place, I have no plans to actually shake hands with the slime ball himself. A fake smile is plastered on my face while I pretend to listen to one of the other guests gossiping about him. All while slowly inching out of the ballroom. Unfortunately, before I could get any further.
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
Rich people only have two ways to resolve their mess. Either they quietly deal with it behind closed doors, or they create an even greater problem out of it, and it just blows up in everybody's faces, one way or another. Fun.
No! Shut it, you Manta! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
Not even a few seconds in, and this is already proving itself to be a big public spectacle. Why spend money on a television to buy daytime soap operas? You could just go to one of these parties and see the action unfold in real life. You can get free food too. Really, if I were an actual guest, I'd just take this as some sordid form of amusement.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
But I'm not a guest who's here for a good time. I need to focus on him, even though this whole sorry tale. No. So I wait. I listen. I observe. Interesting, isn't it, though? That's the chief inspector's wife. Great. Okay, so I didn't really get anything out of... Okay, well... He didn't really find anything then, I suppose. The morning after starts off quiet. Even the whole Salemwell residence seems unusually still. The open hallway when I step out is devoid of tenants. No sounds coming from the other units either. It's almost as if something's brewing on the horizon. A peaceful night's sleep still does wonders for the mood, though. I can't even remember the last time I've slept without anything urgent interrupting. So, yeah, he was sleeping at Rebecca's. It's a nice break from all that bad news lately. If it wasn't for the insistent buzzing in my pocket waking me up, I would sleep in. The ringing had stopped before I could move somewhere private, but sleep has also been effectively kicked out of my system by then. Pity, I could use a little more rest until I have to face the other storm. Of course I owe Rebecca an explanation. It doesn't matter if it's the whole truth or another hastily spun tale, although I haven't really figured out how to go about this yet. Unlike Zack and Isabella, who don't really ask questions and aren't content with what little I could share, Rebecca's rather quick on the trigger. It will have to be set aside for later, though.
Sup, I'm Ash from
Oh
New
my
City.
god,
Baggers,
this
watch out,
guy-
can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy. Sup,
God.
I'm Ash from
The chief's
New
name
City.
stares back at me,
Baggers,
almost
watch
as if
out,
it's
can't
mocking
beat
me.
me. Looking for
Sad.
trouble?
It
Better
would have
not
been
lie.
nice to
I'm a
chill after
cool
last
dude,
night or
pretty
maybe
fly
have
for an
listened to
Asian
the
guy.
news.
Sup,
Sure,
I'm
it's the
Ash
same
from
thing we've been
City.
hearing
Baggers,
lately.
watch out, can't beat me.
So we'll be
Looking for
sitting
trouble?
outside in the
Better
chilly
not
west one
lie.
morning
I'm
on
a
the
cool
phone with my
dude, pretty
boss.
fly for an Asian
Sighing,
guy.
I answered, if only
Sup,
to
I'm
get this
Ash
over
from
with.
Ray, where are you right now?
Now that's a tone I didn't expect from him at this hour. Just thinking how this will go already gives me a headache. Immediately, I reach up and pinch the bridge of my nose to stave it off.
This is why I won't ever drink myself senseless.
What was that?
Nothing, Chief. A pleasant morning to you, too.
He's probably calling to rag on me or complain about his wife, which is really none of my business unless it affects my case. It seems like the usual rich man cheats on a wife deal. Although I would have followed up on it if it were somebody else's wife. But figuring it's the chief's, hey, I trust him to come clean if the missus is related to the Wright's shitty dealings. This is why I left before they even hauled the woman out last night. I'm not going to go around investigating cheating husbands and wives when it's probably just that. Sheaves appears to have a different idea in mind, though.
There's nothing pleasant in the morning. Anyway, where are you? I told you millions of times before to keep your lines open.
He didn't. Not only him, Zack, Rebecca, Isabella, all of them have said the same thing numerous times in the past. But I was undercover last night. A phone call is the last thing I want to happen when there are other things I need to focus on at the time. Besides, we have radios and work-issued phones. Why isn't he using those channels if this is urgent?
Just woke up, sir. As awesome as it is to hear your voice this morning, it really is early. If you could give me a few minutes just to wake myself up, that'd be swell.
No need for that. This won't take long.
Is something wrong? Am I needed at the precinct ASAP?
Oh no, everything's good over there. Just look, kid. Pray. Don't take this personally, alright?
What?
You're off the Luxbourne firm case. Starting today.
Well, I did not expect to hear that either. This must be some kind of cosmic joke. I allow some awkward seconds to pass. Sheaf must be pulling another one of his awful pranks. Out of his bad mood or a severe hangover, maybe? Everyone knows that when given the chance, he exercises no control with his drinking. If it wasn't for his wife causing a stir, he'd probably be trashed an hour in at the party. He liked to drink more after they threw her out of the ballroom. Besides, his sense of humor has never been good. It's just infuriating most of the time. But when he doesn't follow it up, if I sound a tiny bit frustrated speaking to my own superior, I'm not the one to blame.
Wait, no. What? Are you kidding, Chief? Is this one of your practical jokes again? The temps won't say anything about it, but
It's not that. They're orders. From the higher-ups.
What? Okay, this is starting to get really suspicious now. He was definitely up to something, right? So this has gotta be like Luke or whatever made sure this happened, I guess. In a way or another. The higher-ups, yes, my favorite word. Since when did the higher-ups ever cared about what the criminal investigation department did? As far as I could tell, they don't give a hoot if CID is filled with cold cases as long as we keep the spending low. When I need to view those old case files, though, they're locked away in the archives. You're gonna have to check with the higher-ups. I need access to these reports, see if the higher-ups would allow it. Every step, every move in this case, there isn't one that hasn't been gated by some authority. If it's not the chief, it's the commissioner. Or so they always tell me. It makes one wonder why they even bothered assigning it to anyone. Not single one of them has done anything to help move the case. And they wonder why it has taken this long for even a hint of progress to show.
You can't just drop this on me. You can't just take me off like that.
Yes, I can. And I'm sorry, Ashton. You're a good detective. One of the best I've seen in years, but
3 years, Chief. 3 years!
3 years since that anonymous tech leak blew up. Since Luke Wright's name was openly linked to several nasty dealings within Luxborn's corporate world. Some of them involving deaths. 3 years, and I was the only one who made it this far. Made much progress the officers with more experience weren't able to do when they handled this case. Just within a year, and with barely any help from the damn brass at that. Of course, I'll be pissed.
Do you know what would have happened if I didn't work my ass off on this thing? If I didn't dedicate a whole year of my time on it, it would have gone cold. Like every fucking case Luke Wright has been linked to. I saved this from getting thrown into the archives, sir. I'm getting close. If you could just...
I'm fully aware of what you've done, Frey. But the Commissioner hasn't been happy with your progress. Still too slow by their standards.
Too slow?
And they can do it themselves. Screw them.
Well, what about those reports I filed? I've documented every freaking thing for them. I've given you every important lead I can gather.
They're probably helping Luke. Hiccup again. Great.
Isn't that enough?
They need results, not a bunch of research papers. Not one baseless assumption after another. Concrete proof, Frey. I'm really sorry. They've already made a decision. They're going to pass this on to someone who's been in the force longer. Someone who has more experience.
Someone who has more experience?
I meant nothing by it, but you're still too young to work on a case this big.
Chief, I've already done more than what those old farts ever did behind their desks. All of it, within just a year of being assigned to this.
Watch your language, Frey. Those are your superiors,
I'm not some damn rookie fresh out of training. I'm as qualified as they are.
Futile. I know it is. They'd never say it within my earshot, but from the very minute I stepped in their precinct, a lot of them had underestimated me. From their stares alone to the assignments I get. To them, I'm still just a kid. Too young, too green, too inexperienced. And once they pull that card on me, every argument I have gets thrown out the window. No matter how logical it is, how much I've accomplished, what the record says, or the amount of work I put in every investigation they've thrown my way.
We're all aware of your skills, kid. You wouldn't have that badge and rank if you weren't good enough. However, this case is just not for you. Too high profile, too risky to put a good officer like you in harm's way.
Can he even hear himself? That reasoning is odd in itself. No one joins this line of work without knowing the dangers of it.
Don't I get a second chance? You said it yourself. I'm a good detective. It'll just be a matter of time before we can close this.
It doesn't matter what I think, Frey. You're off the case, and that's final. I expect all related files and documents on my desk by Monday morning. And don't even try to go touch anything. I know how hard-headed and determined you are.
Chief, please. A few more weeks. I'll have the proper evidence left on your desk by then. I swear it won't take longer than that.
Afraid it's too late, boy. I've already informed the other officers. You aren't to be allowed access until you've been given a new assignment. Hell, just keep out of the precinct, Frey. Take the weekend off.
Seriously, Chief, is this about last night? If this is about me being at that party, I have a good reason for...
You were at the party.
Oh, it makes me pause. His weary tone, the sudden careful note in his voice. Slowly, a frown forms my face, my eyebrows knitting together in confusion. Much as I hate to say this about my own boss, there's also suspicion in it. Hard not to think of it that way, seeing how he acted around Hannah Wright last night. Is he worried? Why should he be? Everyone who's anyone was invited. I didn't doubt for a second why he received an invite, and if his presence was questionable. Right, and I mean, now he obviously didn't want him to say his wife like that, you know? But yeah. There's something wrong, and I've unintentionally walked into it. All I have is this sneaking suspicion, but when one looks at this from a different angle, put everything together, why the hell I've been taking off the case might be for the same reason he was there in the first place. Fuck.
Yes, Chief, I was. For a good reason. What were you doing there? I know we don't have a strict rule against attending functions, but that was...
He coughs, and it almost sounds like he's choking on his own excuses, lies. I don't want to accuse him of anything, yet. He's someone I respected since I joined LPD, even with his bizarre sense of humor and tendency to procrastinate. He's obviously competent enough to get the job done. He wouldn't be Chief Inspector of Luxembourg Police if he wasn't. He wouldn't last years in service without some track record backing him. Unless that too is a fluke. And what's backing him is not something, but someone. Oh. Oh shit. Fucking hell. Fucking shit.
Chief Harvey, about last night with the...
Why does it matter, Frey? This isn't about that.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? I'll recite the whole damn oath we've taken upon being sworn into service if I can, but at this point it seems too late to remind him of that. He's probably already moved from serving and protecting people to serving and protecting his own interests. Damn it. I suspected the upper brass of this, even the lower ranked subordinates in the force, but from my own boss? Shit. No wonder that leak didn't lead anywhere. Someone closer might have been pulling the strings. I might have been set up to fail long before the fucking case has been assigned to me. But I don't want to just give this up. I don't want to believe I wasted an entire year for this. I don't want this to be the kind of news to tell Professor Clark after all those promises I've given the man.
I just want to know, sir, at the party, with Luke and Hannah Wright, you were...
Monday, Detective Inspector. First thing in the morning. Every copy of the files you have, I want to see all on my table, understood?
This isn't...
Is he the one who's going to take the case?
Frey, am I understood?
What else can I do other than smile and nod? With my own superior expecting an answer, using that tone and brushing my questions off as easy as discarding a dead body.
Yes. Yes, sir.
That sucks. It gets in line as soon as the words are out. You're off the case, Frey. Just like that. Funny why this still caught me off guard. I discovered years ago how different the actual thing is, how far from reality everything I believed in as a dreamy-eyed kid. There are no high-speed pursuits every day, no thrilling gunfights or exciting cases every step of the way. Only paperworks, lots of red tape, and dealing with the politics and bureaucracy. Bureaucracy? I don't know. I set out to change things, hoping it'll make things better for the people I care about. Ashton Frey received a phone call from the chief of Luxembourg Police first thing in the morning, informing him that he had been taken off the Luxembourg firm case. Although his protests fell on deaf ears, the sudden turn of events proved a hunch. I set out to change things, hoping it'll make things better for the people I care about. It ended up changing me instead. Serves me right for being too idealistic, I guess. This is probably the universe telling me that it's better to remain the skeptic I really am. Now here I am, standing useless. Can't even do anything but grit my teeth and kick the wall. The bastard didn't even acknowledge my response.
What did the poor wall ever do to you?
It figures Rebecca would be the one to find me in this embarrassing state. Honestly, I don't like it when she sees me like this, which seems to happen a lot, regardless of what I want.
Rebecca, now's not a good time.
The concern I expect from her when I turn isn't there, however. It's that she just looks, well, the storm I left brewing last night. It's right there on her face, ready to be unleashed.
When is it ever a good time for you? You're always so busy with everything now. Now I find you here, sneaking out without even bothering with a proper goodbye. Not even a word. Really, I'm starting to think you're just keeping me around for my couch and my cooking.
Becca, it's not what you're thinking. I wasn't planning on sneaking out. I was going to say goodbye. I just had to take this call. Although I'm not gonna lie, couch is great. 10 out of 10, would sleep again.
Stop it with the jokes, Ashton. I'm not in the mood.
Her bitterness is not lost on me, but at this point, our friendship and our lives, how does she still expect me to answer that? What am I supposed to tell her now?
Are you still mad about last night?
She merely raises an eyebrow at me, which, to be honest, is all the response I need. Seeing her like this makes me believe those things Seaman says, the part where Rebecca scares him sometimes. I've certainly seen this more than once already, but the familiarity of it doesn't really take away from the downhill turn this conversation is starting to take. Only an awkward cough serves as a way to stall.
Okay, of course you're still mad. But whatever happened last night, I really am sorry. I'll apologize as many times as you want. If you want, I'd even kneel or something.
Ashton, an apology is nice and all, but that's not what I wanted to hear from you today.
All right, fine, okay. Where do you want to start?
Oh, I don't know. I've honestly lost track of it by your third trip to the buffet table.
I wasn't... The drive up there took a bit. Can you blame me if I wanted to grab some appetizers?
Oh, come on, Ash. For the whole evening?
What happened?
For the whole party?
Okay, I don't know what happened. Anyway, it's good. It's all good.
Please don't tell me that's all you did, because I've never known you as someone who pigs out. You even took great lengths to avoid me. Should I also mention how you ignored Zach? Sometimes I get the feeling you don't want to be seen with us in public. Some friendship, huh?
You know it's not like that. It's never going to be like that, Becca.
I'll ask this again. Just what were you up to during the party? What were you doing that you couldn't even take 2 seconds to make time for your friends?
I couldn't even look her in the eye. It wasn't that I wanted to avoid them. I did it to keep Zach safe, to keep Rebecca safe. Just in case. Client or family friend, it was still a party hosted by a person of interest. By a man accused years ago of murdering a person's wife to get what he wanted. Oh. But then Sheaf showed up, Hannah Wright happened, and Luke Wright just can't be bothered to die peacefully somewhere. All of a sudden, none of my original reasons mattered. If I was found out right then and there, hell, if Zach and Rebecca's connection with me was found out, who knows what might have happened. But Rebecca doesn't understand that. Doesn't understand what I can and can't say to keep them from harm. It's all in her eyes, and the tight line of her lips, and her furrowed brows. The hurt. This day is just off to a wonderful start. First my case, now Becca. How do we even go about this? I haven't done a save for Ashton. Okay, there we go. Well, I mean, I should insist that it's come. I was almost expecting it to just be bottom, but yeah, I don't know. Well, at least he's holding a gun, so there you go. You got some of that fantasy, I guess. I mean, I shouldn't really tell anything, but she's just going to go. Really, she's gonna get so pissed off if it's just going to go with a confidential. Well, what should I do? Stretch the truth. I mean, they took him off the case, so it's just kind of like, F you, I'm going to tell someone, kind of. Went down even more, darn it. I can't do anything right in this game. Obviously, I couldn't just say, hey, Becca, you know the Wrights? They are suspected to be ringleaders of a crime syndicate and shit like that. Protocol or otherwise, there are so many things I'm not allowed to tell the others. Even if I am able to share information with civilians, knowing anything could very well put them in danger. It's why I keep it vague. Obscure the facts, or when push comes to shove, stretch the truth and lie from it is a necessity I've grown to deal with. It has already become a part of me, no matter how much I love doing it.
I mentioned it, didn't I? I was there on behalf of someone else. I was on business, Becca. I wasn't there to have a good time.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I was expecting to say a little bit more. Oh well. She doesn't look convinced at all. Although she's the very picture of someone who's at least willing to listen, her glare effectively takes a good 20 off my current years. I feel like a kid again, being reprimanded by my junior high teacher for sleeping in class. But getting away with that is easier than with this one. It's the thing with someone you've been friends with for so long. They're the ones who know you inside out. Good grades wouldn't be enough for Rebecca to let this whole thing slide.
You can't even spare a single second to mingle?
What was I supposed to say? Hi, fancy meeting you here. Would you like to dance? By the way, those appetizers were really good. You should try some. Like that? I've got a boss guy breathing down my neck. I don't exactly have the luxury of doing as I please.
This much is true. My reasons for being at the party too. However, the chief's presence last night made a lot of things difficult. Approaching them was out of the question when there was someone watching. A person who knew the reason why I was there. Turned out to be a good call on my part. But for someone who's already angry beyond reason, everything will only sound like an excuse.
Cut the shite. I saw you stuffing your face with the deviled eggs, while your own boss is off on the other side of the room. You didn't even exchange a word or a glance with him either. In fact, I think you're also avoiding the man. Just say you don't want to talk about it instead of lying to my face.
I do feel guilty, still. We've already been down this road. This is something I've done so repeatedly in the past, something she's heard from me more than times than all of my fingers could count. Something I'll just have to get over with at this moment.
I'm sorry, you know that, Becca. I really, really am. I wouldn't do this shit if I didn't have a good reason to.
And you know that I don't like you lying to me. If you can't tell the truth, just don't say anything and shut your gob. I swear, Ashton Frey, you are just so dense. I'm so angry. I can't even bear to look at you right now because I swear I'll knock you right off your block. I mean, what good reason could you have to act like an antisocial asshole? The only time you did talk to me was to spout some vague nonsense about Luke. What was that all about? Were you somehow expecting me to just accept everything as it is?
You really shouldn't go near that man, Becca.
Why? Because you don't trust him? I wonder if you actually trust anyone. Aside from the three of us, Zach, Isabella, and myself, do you even have any other friends? If you're perfectly fine with that, then go ahead. No one is stopping you. But don't expect me to share the same views. I can have a life of my own. Friends that I don't necessarily share with you. I'm an adult, Ashton, and I can make my own bloody decisions. I sure as hell can choose the people I want to let into my life.
Of course, she's allowed to do as she pleases. I never mentioned she couldn't. Us growing up together doesn't mean it always has to be just the two of us. It's a dumb idea to believe that, when nothing ever remains constant. Things will inevitably change through the years. She'll make friends with people outside of our circle. I'm just as free to form my relationship with other people too. But why of all people did it have to be him? Why does it have to be Luke Wright? That guy is nothing but trouble. How can she defend a guy like that? She's already calling him Luke, for Pete's sake.
I trust Zach, I trust Isabella, and I trust you, Rebecca. So why can't you trust me on this? You need to stay away from that man. Because he's... I really wish I could tell you.
What was that saying Isabella mentioned before? A liar is a brother of a thief. People who look at me now would probably say I'm a hair's breadth away from being a criminal. Seaman said something like that once, a few years into our friendship. I laughed it off back then, but now they're probably right. Little by little, I'm becoming the very kind of person I hate. How ironic. The silence afterwards brings an even heavier air between us. Something that Rebecca thankfully doesn't allow to linger more than necessary.
I suppose you have to go now, huh?
The situation's already awkward as it is. Dragging this out will only make it more, what? Difficult? Messed up? As if it isn't already.
Back to your case again?
I don't really have to. I have no case. As far as the job is concerned, I have the weekend off until I have to report to Chief on Monday. Although I don't want to just throw in the towel on this. Orders are orders. This isn't like the movies. I don't get to say fuck off, throw my gun and bash at him, become so vigilant, save the day, and get my job back. I'd rather get my ass thrown in jail than do any of that. But it's also not in my nature to sit still and do nothing. It'll drive me crazy if I just idle about. Besides, there's someone who has to know about this whole Luke Wright thing.
Yeah, I need to go talk to Professor Clark. And there's something else I need to look into.
The other matter she mentioned last night, specifically. Things even the news have been blasting out to the general populace lately. Evening, afternoon, morning, all deaths with the same modus blamed on a single serial killer. Or is it still the case?
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxbourne police.
We're grasping at straws as far as these murders are concerned. In the first place, I'm not even the one heading this investigation, yet look at me treating it as if it's another high-profile case on my shoulder. How sad is that? Although all three of my friends have mentioned seeing something strange, I don't want to go into that line of thinking for now. Not yet. Not until I've exhausted every logical argument I could throw at it. To be honest, though, I don't know how to take all of this anymore. But I've already given Isabella my word. It'd bother me more if I didn't follow up on a promise I made to her. And after Rebecca's claims last night, there won't be enough sarcasm in the world if what my friends have been telling me is true. I can already hear Isabella's laughter, in fact.
Figures. What else can it be?
It's not another case. It's something else. That issue Isabella mentioned yesterday morning. I'm sure you remember. You were there.
Well, at least you're not neglecting all your friends.
Becca, I promised her I'll...
She doesn't wait for me to finish. With a roll of her eyes, she turns around and shuts the door in my face. I have no idea what I've said this time, but...
I probably deserve that.
We'll just have to fix this some other time. By then, her temper's sure to have cooled off significantly. Rebecca confronted Ashton about what happened at the party the night before. Unable to tell her any details, the latter chose to stretch the truth. It led to another argument and ended with Rebecca slamming the door closed on him. Whoops. I could have avoided that. Great. Hopefully.